All right, fellas, if you don't know this already, we're going to hit a Black Swan event. All right, we're going to hit a Black Swan event, which if you haven't known what that term means, I'll just simplify it for you to understand it. It's basically when there's an unpredictable event that occurs that shakes the entire world and changes the dynamics, and new opportunities arise because of that specific event that occurred. It could be an AI boom that completely wipes out a lot of the people in the workforce. It could also be a new boom in the way that content is distributed. It can literally just change the scope of how we move. So in preparation of this Black Swan that is going to happen, whether it be after the elections, whether it be even 3 or 4 months after, if it's not directly after, you need to be prepared for that, and you need to start disciplining yourself and taking advantage of the opportunities that will come your way. I promise you they will. Right? Especially if you're putting yourself out there, especially if you're putting in as much work as possible, but you need focused work. All right, so it's time to step into your disciplined man era. All right, so what does this look like? So there are 4 stages that you need to understand, or 4 specific concepts within this framework that you need to understand. The first is that you need to establish a routine. I can't emphasize this enough. Everybody moves through life. Not everybody, but a lot of people move through life and they don't necessarily have a routine. They don't necessarily have something that they can replicate every single day to replicate results. It's important to establish a routine because you can now start tracking your progress based on how often you've done that specific routine. You can see if this way of life that you're living is actually beneficial or it's not. It's difficult when you don't have a routine and you're trying to make everything happen, right? You're trying to achieve this specific goal that you have, but you have nothing to measure it up against. You don't know whether today was a productive day or not. You don't know whether the tasks or the actions that you took during the day can actually benefit you in terms of getting to that specific result that you're looking for. So it's always important to establish this routine. It's very simple. Right? Figure out, okay, what are the actions that I need to take on a daily basis to achieve this goal? Write them down. And an important way to do this also is by making sure that when you actually go through the process of writing down your routine for the next day, right? You're almost making sure that it's a checklist to go off of, so that, and you do this the night before. Right? If you need to adjust your routine or add something to that routine, you do it the night before. This sets intention for the next day so that you're not frantically trying to figure out what to do next. So it's important to establish a routine for yourself, a baseline routine, and then you have room to then be able to add different things, because life is not constant, right? Life is very dynamic. So there's going to be a lot of things that come up that make you not be able to fulfill completely the routine that you have. There may be new things that are added to your plate that you have to be able to add and anticipate for. So it's important to, one, establish a foundational routine, whether it be getting up, meditating, eating, journaling, whatever it is that you do when you wake up. Then during the day, when you start working, what are you going to do during work? What are the different tasks that you need to get done that are pretty much replicable every single day to be able to move forward towards your progress, right? And then figure out, okay, when am I going to eat? When am I going to reflect on my day? When am I going to do creative activities? How long am I going to do those creative activities for? Make a list around this and set the intention. That's going to be so important. And it's a simple way to start supercharging your discipline as a man. All right. The second is going to be understanding the energy that it takes for you to actually do things, right? Every time that you have, this is why procrastination happens, by the way. Procrastination happens because you realize that there's a certain amount of energy that you need to put into understanding that you need to do that thing, right? There's a lot of mental energy that you expend, and then you end up pushing it aside because it takes up too much mental energy, right? So you have to understand this and realize that you need to make it easier for yourself to be able to achieve these goals that you're trying to have by, one, setting the routine that's established, and two, understanding the energy that you need, or reducing the amount of, they call it activation energy, reducing the amount of activation energy that you're actually using to be able to achieve these different steps that you're trying to get done, right, throughout the day. So understand activation energy and start to measure how much activation energy is needed to do a specific task. I always say this: if you want to be as productive as possible, there's 2 ways to go about it. I'm not going to tell you if there's one way, because there's 2 different types of people. There's a lot of people who say, okay, eat the frog in the morning, which means do the hardest task in the morning, which then gives you momentum and then gives you a breath of fresh air to then go into the simpler tasks to get done. And then you knock those out very quickly, right? You can do that. If you're somebody who dreads hard tasks, do that first, right? That's the whole disciplined man perspective. You do things that sometimes you don't even want to do for the sake of getting to the goal that you want to get to. So eat the frog and do the hardest thing first, right? As early as you can, as soon as you get done with your morning routine. The opposite is actually stacking a bunch of different easy tasks that you do that lead up to the hard task, so that you're building momentum and confidence to where once you get to that hard task, you have enough activation energy to push towards that specific task. So there's two ways to go about it. Figure out what your personality is. If you need momentum, if you need the confidence to be able to do what you have to do the easy task first. If you're somebody who you hate the hard task and you just don't want to do it at all, and if you push long enough, you'll just keep procrastinating it, eat the frog and do the hard task first, right? So that's understanding activation energy. The next is understanding how to get through the instant gratification loophole that we have, right? The loop that consistently happens, right? So avoiding high dopamine activities such as mindlessly scrolling on social media. You already know this stuff, right? Mindlessly scrolling on social media, playing video games for a long period of time. Reduce the amount of time that you're spending on these high dopamine activities that are giving you the instant gratification. For me, instant gratification is basically something that skyrockets your dopamine from doing something that's very, very menial that actually has no meaning in your life, right? So you're basically wasting your dopamine on things that are not actually pushing you forward in life, right? You want to limit those. I'm not saying eliminate them completely, because a lot of people don't need to eliminate it completely, right? But reduce it to the point where you can actually start to have more of a long-term approach in things. You don't get bored very easily, right? You understand that instant gratification does not push you forward in life, and it's better to have delayed gratification, right? Things that are, for example, building a business, building a family is the ultimate delay of gratification, right? Having a delayed gratification mindset allows for you to start to do these hard tasks, to start to tackle a lot of the issues, and to start to make monumental progress in your life, and it maintains your discipline. The people who are not disciplined are the people who chase instant gratification, right? If something is not gratifying them instantly, they just don't do it, right? And they just completely ignore it. If going to go to the gym and training does not give you instant gratification, which means instant results, you're not going to want to do it. The people who understand the long-term vision of it, they're going to allow for delayed gratification to take over so that they can do those established routines that they put for themselves every single day. Everything goes together, by the way, right? So understand that. Do the boring things and learn to enjoy them, because you know that the long-term benefit is going to be success on the level that you want. And the last, I think this is one of the most important things, is understanding the 30% rule, right? This is something that's a nuance and most people don't think about. The 30% rule essentially means that for the things that you genuinely just don't have the energy to do, this is what a lot of people say. A lot of people say, just push through, right? Push through and just do everything, even if you don't have the energy to do it. Like, just push yourself. I could say that, but I'll be realistic, right? There's a lot of people who cannot do that right now. They haven't built themselves up. As you're building yourself up to step into this era of being a disciplined man, you want to apply that 30% rule. So on the days that you genuinely can't go and work out, take 30% of the energy or 30% of the time that you would take to work out. Do like a 20-minute workout, right? Do a 20-minute workout at home. Do things that are very minimal, that require minimal activation energy to be able to achieve those things. And it's a snowball effect. You'll get back to wanting to do those things for a longer period of time. But you want to start off with this 30% rule whenever you feel like you're in a slump. If you feel like you're in a slump, for example, you have a business and you have things that you need to get done, start doing 30% of those things. What you're going to find that's interesting is when you start getting into 30%, you're going to want to finish with 100%. Like if I went to the gym and said, hey, you know what? I'm just going to step in the gym for 20 minutes, right? I'm going to go to the gym for 20 minutes and I'm going to want to keep going, right? That's the competitive nature that men typically have. All right, so you want to be able to adopt that 30% rule when you genuinely don't feel like doing something, because it's going to start training your brain to do it anyway, but do it at a certain capacity that you have so you don't feel overwhelmed and you just don't do it overall. So this is pretty much the framework, right? The framework approach, the 4-step framework approach that I believe any man can be as disciplined as possible and actually achieve their goals long term and get with these opportunities. I'm telling you, this Black Swan event is going to be crazy. You saw this here first. You already know that this exists. You just have to understand that by being disciplined, you're going to be able to actually capitalize on all of the opportunities that are going to come your way. There's going to be a lot of opportunities, fellas. I'm telling you. I can see a lot of these opportunities opening up. I can see a lot of these things if you're disciplined enough to learn these new skills, to learn AI, to learn personal branding on YouTube. By the way, if you're interested in that, link is in the description. Go in there, go through, look through, sign up with me, sign up for a one-on-one call with me, really just an application call to see if it makes sense for you to join my group coaching around personal branding. Join the free Telegram if you haven't yet, for any type of updates, any type of mindset tips, conversations like this. I literally put out voice notes. I have an embedded private group chat in there that's also free, where you can talk to me and give me some issues that you have, and I'll literally just send voice notes to these guys and just solve their problems, right? Because I've experienced a lot of this stuff already. So I appreciate y'all, and I hope that this was valuable for you. I'm going to catch you on the next video. Conquer your life, conquer everything. I appreciate you.